Okay, here we are then, my review of Lux. Obviously I'm not in my usual location right now, I am away, but I need to make this anyway. What an episode. That was genuinely one of the best episodes I've seen in, probably years, literally years. I'd say since Series 10, that's the best episode. By far. We open in an old cinema where it's packed and everyone's watching a documentary about atom bombs. We then see this bloke licking a spoon. He then picks up a new film and puts it in the machine. It's titled Mr. Ring-a-Ding Goes to Town. Some moonlight soaks into the spoon and bounces off it onto the projector. That moonlight makes Mr. Ring-a-Ding come to life. We then pick up where we left off last week. The doctor's asking Belinda about her family and she says that her mum's a violinist and her dad does something else, I can't remember. But anyway, we find out that they're actually dead and she really wants to see them again. This is definitely setting up a trickster plot and I'm all for it. Anyway, the doctor makes a vortex indicator, or he calls it a vindicator, and it will help them land on Earth, because obviously they can't get back to Earth, that's where we left last week. He casts it out and they land in 1952. Now this is where Belinda gets tempted. She wants to stay, obviously you would. So the pair get all dressed up in a spitting image scene of what happened last year. The pair step outside and they are now in Miami, but they notice that the cinema is all chained up. They notice some flowers laid next to the door where someone has gone missing. The Vindicator makes a noise and they can now head back to 2025. But because it's the Doctor, he wants to stay and investigate that abandoned cinema. But before that, they head into a diner for a coffee. When inside the diner, it's revealed that 15 people went missing in that cinema that night. And so Doc and Belinda speak to the mum of one of the boys that went missing. She says that she thought they stopped looking, but then someone delivered that police box earlier, so now she has hope. So the Doctor feels responsible for sorting the whole mystery out. The diner worker reveals that the guy who owns the cinema is still in there, and he plays the films to himself every single night. So the Doctor and Belinda break inside. Doc and Belinda are trying to get the attention of Mr. Pie. We can see him signalling for them to go away, but they don't listen. Anyway, then Ring-a-Ding pops up on the stage and they all go to investigate. We find out that Mr. Ring-a-Ding is made completely out of light, even though he has a shadow. Belinda keeps asking questions and Mr. Ring-a-Ding keeps responding with, "Don't make me laugh." And Mr. Ring-a-Ding then does the creepy arpeggio laugh from the giggle. And the letters fall off of the Harvest Bringer, which then make it Harbinger. It's revealed that Mr. Ring-a-Ding is Lux, the god of light. Reg plays one of the films, and Mr. Ring-a-Ding has to complete his little jingle thing he does. Reg then reveals to the Doctor that he had a girl once, and then the girl went to cross the road, and well, you can guess what happened. But Ring-a-Ding brought her back. By playing the film, she then came back to life. Belinda then finds the 15 missing people, all printed on the film tape. Ring-a-Ding then knocks on the door in a very empty childlike way, saying, "Let me in!" Or Charlie D'Amelio, you can take it as you will. Ring-a-Ding comes in and turns the Doctor and Belinda into a cartoon. The Doctor finds out the more sad you get, the more three-dimensional you get, so he starts trauma dumping on Belinda. They return back to normal and start breaking the frame to get out of the picture. A policeman then rocks up alongside the mum they were speaking to in the diner. She is completely switched up now and is full on racist mode. The officer points a gun at Belinda and the Doctor, and you can't help feel a little bit sad. But then we find out it's a fake reality and they're still in the film. They then realise to get out they need to push the screen. They push the screen and they end up in some die-hard super fan Doctor Who fans' room. It's the ultimate fourth wall break. Something is happening with reality and we need to find out what is going on because this is awesome. One of the people in the room says that they knew this would happen because it had leaked online. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. I'm watching the episode as I'm recording these bits. What is happening? This is awesome. The Doctor asks the superfans what their favourite adventure is, and they all straight away just say blink, 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 blink every time. This is Russell's way of digging the fans for just constantly loving the old episodes and not loving the new things. It's then revealed that the fans are not real, but the Doctor and Belinda are. And here he goes, he's bloody crying again. Anyway, one of the fans decides to pull the film down and they're back with a white screen. They decide to let the heat from the projector burn through the film, and then they're back in reality. The Doctor then gets tied up by the film tape and dragged up the stairs. He positions him directly in front of the projector and lets the light from the projector pass through the Doctor's body, casting onto Lux, building him a physical body. Might sound confusing, but just bear with. The Doctor tells Belinda subtly that it's now daylight time, so she empties the film tape from all of the reels and is ready to blow them up to let the light come through and destroy Mr. Ring-a-Ding. Because the one thing he never does is go outside because it will burn him. The light touches Ring-a-Ding and takes him up to the stars where he then evaporates. The 15 missing people return home, And Belinda sort of likes the Doctor now. And they head off into the box and, oh my god, it's Mrs. Flood, it's Mrs. Flood! And we cue the credits. But then we come out of the credits and we see that the people are still alive. The fans, they're still alive. And then we cue the credits again. So let's just start overall with the vibes. I mean, they captured the 50s vibes of a cinema very well, especially just even from the opening shot, you can tell this is meant to be a 1950s cinema, and they really did do it well. You know, it just looks like someone's AI enhanced an old cinema video. Like, it just does look like that. So yeah, I was immediately immersed into it. It wasn't like one of those things where it looks really tacky and you got to sort of make believe that you're there. Mr. Ring-a-Ding looks incredible as well. Just from that opening sequence, we get to see him in his actual cartoon form, and he just does look real. I went somewhere once, and I can't remember where, but I went to like an old cinema. I think it was probably styled 50s, maybe 60s, something like that. And I saw a cartoon that looked like Ring-a-Ding. He looked completely like Ring-a-Ding. Russell is so good at creation. He's created this cartoon that looks exactly like a real cartoon would look back then. And I got such big Roger Rabbit vibes from Ring-a-Ding the whole way through this episode. Like when he was sat there and he was doing like the whole, like, you can't see my foot, but he was doing the whole like, ooh, I got nothing to hide, stuff like that. And I thought, you know, it looks exactly like him. I also like how Mr. Ring-a-Ding isn't actually evil to start with, and it's Lux, the god of light, that actually bounces off the spoon into the projector and causes Ring-a-Ding, possesses him to be evil. I like the fact that originally Mr. Ring-a-Ding is a nice guy. Now, did anybody else hear Amy's theme? Now, I might be going mad, but I heard a few notes, right? And I was like, I recognise that, but what is it? And I went back and listened. I was like, is it Martha's theme? Is it a previous Doctor's theme? Is it something along those lines? But no, it was definitely Amy's theme, and I definitely heard it. And you definitely heard it as well when Belinda was explaining about her parents. Speaking about Belinda's parents, right, this is a perfect setup for a trickster story. If you missed it in my little synopsis or you haven't seen the episode, by the way, watch the episode because you need to watch it to get what I'm saying. Belinda's parents are dead. We find this out at the beginning of the episode where she says her mum's a violinist and her dad does something else, I can't remember. But we find out that they are dead. Now, I wasn't expecting this at all. I was expecting them to be alive. We'd meet them at some point, but no, they are completely dead. And this is exactly what happened to Sarah Jane, and the trickster took advantage of that and offered her the chance to swap. I'm really hoping we get a trickster story because he's been teased for a long time and he has not been around for ages, so I just want to see him. So please, 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 bring the trickster back, man. He's so good. The Vindicator, or the Visual Indicator, or Virtual Indicator, something like that. It's the big stick thing we've seen that is apparently in every episode this series, which I'm all up for. We've seen it in like leaked shots and things, and it is quite cool. It does its job. Its job is to, I can't remember exactly. I've just finished watching the episode, but it like sets a pathway to Earth basically, and that's how they end up in Miami. So they're just a bit off, but yeah, that's that. The Vindicator. It looks quite cool. It's got a cool name. It looks a bit like the Sonic staff, or was it the Sonic? Let's talk about the outfits. A bit like the Devil's Cord. How like Ruby and the Doctor just settled into the 60s. Is it the 60s or 70s vibes? They did the same thing in this episode, pretty much shot for shot, which makes me think that maybe reality's being played with. Yeah, it was literally shot for shot. But the outfits, the outfit department team are really good because they have completely nailed 50s outfits here. And they look, I mean, Belinda, let's use their real names, Varida and Ncuti look incredible in these outfits. And I'm not the one to normally point that out. I never really notice things about people, but they looked incredible. And it really added to the episode because I had faith that these existed. You know what I mean? I had faith that this is real. So let's talk about racial segregation. It's a big part of this episode because obviously they're in the 1950s and our lead actors are both non-white, as it's described. If that's offensive, let me know and I'll stop saying it, but I don't know what better ways there are to say it. And in the diner, we see the man who works at the diner basically say he doesn't mind breaking the rules to talk to them and speak to them because technically they shouldn't be allowed in there. But yeah, I like this addition, and the mum whose son went missing, Tommy. It's nice because it shows a different side to racism back then. Now, obviously, I've never been affected by racism like properly. I'm not a racist person, and that's not because of the times. You know what I mean? Like, I don't dislike people because of something as simple as their skin colour, like. And I'd like to think that people like me existed back then as well, and I like that this sort of shows off that. And people might think maybe that takes away from the big deal that racism was back then, but we've had episodes like Rosa and even Dot and Bubble, even though Dot and Bubble is set in the future. We've seen the Doctor get racially abused. I like the fact that now we are seeing that there are some people who we could still have faith in back then. It wasn't every single person was a massive racist. There were a lot, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was really good back then. I'm just just saying, I like the fact they've shown that some people were actually willing to break the rules just to have conversation with these people. These completely innocent people who should not be segregated for any reason at all. I like the fact that Belinda says that the doctor is Scooby-Doo and he replies saying, no honey, I'm Velma. I find that quite funny. And later on, actually, did you catch it? I'm just reading my notes. The doctor called Belinda Fred, which I thought was quite funny as well. You probably did catch it. It's not very subtle. It was just literally in the episode. Let's talk about Mr. Pye, Reginald Pye, who is a real person I've Googled, but I don't know if it's based off of him or not. But I recognise the name, so maybe it is or maybe it's not. I'm not too sure. But I like how he's not evil. I theorise that maybe he's the evil one and Mr. Ringerding is just the front man for this whole thing. Pye lost his wife and he had a film of his wife, and Ringerding was able to bring his wife back to life. This is a lot of rhyming. He was able to bring his wife back to life through just the film, which I liked. Big thumbs up from me. I like he's just a normal guy whose life has been taken over by Lux. His life's been taken over by Lux, and because he doesn't want to run away from Lux because Lux shows him his girlfriend, that's an important part of writing. You've got to have a reason as to why a character doesn't do something that isn't just they don't want to or they're not up for it. You know what I mean? And his reason is that he doesn't want to run away from Lux because Lux is bringing life to his dead wife, girlfriend, it's not really said what she is. The doctor at one point, Mr. Ringerding starts doing his jingle again, you know, I'm Mr. Ringerding, and the doctor goes cut, and he stops. And then he looks down, he's like, who am I saying cut to? This is an overarching story, right? So, there's no glitch in time in this episode, which makes me think maybe I got the glitch in time bit wrong, and maybe that's not part of the overarching story of this series, but there is definitely more going on with reality, and it does touch on it a little bit later in the episode, which I will get to. But who's he saying cut to? And why is it working? And is reality being played with? And what is going on, guys? There is a theory from the lovely Tharies and many others on this platform who say that the Doctor is trapped in a TV show, which he is, obviously, we've seen on here, and he comes to life, he realises that he's in a TV show, a bit like Red Dwarf when they come back to Earth and realise that they are in Earth. But this sort of does happen in this episode, so maybe I'm thinking it's not an overarching story, it's just a one-off story, which is this. There's a point where the film stops playing in the background, so it stops playing on the screen, and that means that Ringerding is now free to move, and he's at the door saying, please let me in. That is like spitting image of the empty child, you know, are you my mummy? The tape stops playing, and then he's at the door saying, let me in, and it's like, okay, this is a clear throwback, and I'm all for it. As we know, I'm a big fan of The Empty Child and the Doctor's Answers, one of my favourite episodes of all time. It's in my top 3, I think, up there with World Enough in Time and Departing Other Ways. They're my top 3. Okay, so the Doctor explains Gallifrey to Belinda in this. At the start, he mentions where he's from. He mentions he's from Gallifrey, and Belinda's like, oh, let's go there. Very similar to how Martha did it. And he's like, oh, not today. But then later in the episode, he realises he needs to get sad in order to become more three-dimensional. So then he starts explaining Gallifrey. And oh my god, oh my word. He does it in a way that isn't trauma dumping to an extent. It is, but it's not like at the start of Space Babies when Ruby walks in and the Doctor's like, right, I'm the Doctor, I come from here, I do this, my name's this, but I don't know where I come from. Oh yeah, this is my mum, but she's not really my mum. Anyway, I come from this planet, I lived here for a long time, I've travelled with loads of people, da 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 da. There's none of that. It's just he needs to get sad, so he explains things that make him the most sad, which is he doesn't know where he's from and his people. He grew up with the dead. I don't know what that was. Okay, let's talk about the police bit. There's a bit where the Doctor and Belinda are still in the film, and they bring the film down, and the policeman comes in. He comes in and he's like, put your hands up, and then he's like, you're in a wide area. It's not real. When I was watching it, I got really sad at this bit because I thought we were going to get some like dark turn to the story. But luckily, it was just a little switcheroo, fakeroo type thing. And yeah, I'm glad about that because I like... This episode is very dark, obviously, but it's also got a lighter tone because it's about light. But I do like it, and I do like that bit not being real, because the woman switched up as well. The woman was like, I knew he was up to something, but like, I don't know, it made me a bit sad, but it's not real, so it's fine. The Doctor Who fan bit, where he breaks through the TV and he's in the fan's house, is a really good way of Russell connecting with us, the viewers, by putting us in the episode. Even though, you know, overall it's meant to be, oh, they're not real, but the Doctor is real. We are real, the Doctor's not real. But Russell made some subtle digs at us, like saying how we're all annoying, and that all our favourite episodes are Blink, we're not willing to give the new things a try, but I'm hoping this episode can change some things. I like the whole hashtag cancel Doctor Who, that was very, very funny. Just overall, I think it was class. The ultimate fourth wall break, as I'd like to call it. So when the Doctor and Belinda go into the film, it feels very much like they're in the Toymaker's corridors, you know, and they're just sort of walking through all the different bits. That, to me, feels exactly like when the Toymaker, when the Donna and the 14th Doctor are walking through the Toymaker's sort of, like corridors. I don't know how to explain it. They go through all the doors. Reminds me a lot of that. So, yeah, The arpeggio was a nice touch as well. Very similar to Maestro, both episode 2 as well. What's going on with 2s? And let's talk about Mr. Pie finally letting go of his old girl. He sets fire to everything. He saves Belinda's life as well. He tells Belinda to get out, and he sacrifices himself and dies with his wife. No, he dies to go and find his wife, which is very nice. He's the true hero of this episode. I got to the end and I thought, Mrs. Flood's not been here. We were told that she was meant to be here, and then she pops up at the end and I'm like, oh, hey Anita, how you doing, love? And that's it. That's the episode. Oh yeah, the people came back. The 15 people, I forgot to write that down. The 15 people came back at the end, which reminded me a lot of what's the second part to Silence in the Library? Forest of the Dead. It reminds me of Forest of the Dead when all the people come back at the end after they've all been saved to the computer. Very nice. Yeah, so that's that. That's Lux. I really enjoyed it. I think it was probably the best episode since Series 10 for me. Best episode since probably the Doctor Falls. Don't get me wrong, this isn't like it's the first good episode in ages. It's definitely the best in ages though. 100%. Anyway, I've been Sam. This has been my review. I'm going to keep things short and sweet. Hopefully it'll work out fine this week. Last week I had some huge issues with recording this. Apologies, but you know, we're back on track now. Like I say, I am away, so the podcast probably won't be with you tomorrow, but it should be with you on Monday instead, so stay tuned. But for now, I've been Sam. Like and subscribe if you like Doctor Who, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye, y'all.